A single footprint dries in the red African dust. On an ancient ridge, a small band warms their hands around a fire. Smoke stings the air as a child whispers and an elder sharpens a stone. Here, with fire, shared words, and tools, aimless wandering became deliberate planning. Those plans carried humanity across coasts and over ice, toward the fertile river valleys where seeds and civilization would take root. Along the Tigris and Euphrates, a clay tablet bakes in the sun. In Mesopotamia, the Nile, and the Indus Valley, writing gave permanence to harvests, gods, and debts. Farming turned seasonal floods into calendars, surplus grain into sprawling cities, and disputes into codes of law. Farther east, another river plain nurtured its own script and statecraft. A teacher spoke of duty, a monk of release, a scholar of sacred rites. Hinduism, Buddhism, and Confucianism began to shape the ethics, families, and governance of millions. These stories and rules became the glue that allowed strangers to trust one another, to build something larger than a tribe. To carry these ideas, empires rose. Couriers pounded along royal roads. A stone arch shaded a bustling market. Silk crossed a northern frontier. From Persia to Rome to Han China, administrators, laws, and coinage created an order that could outlast generations. Power connected distant regions, sometimes through conquest, but often through commerce. These connections became the world's first great networks. Across the Silk Roads, the Indian Ocean, and the sands of the Sahara, goods traveled with germs and genius. Paper, gunpowder, and sugar moved alongside new beliefs and songs. Our modern world of supply chains and online feeds still follows this ancient logic of hubs, links, and trust. But just beyond the edge of the known map, sails were beginning to chase unknown currents, preparing to rewrite all destinies. Wooden hulls stitched the oceans into a single, restless marketplace. On an Iberian quay, a dockhand tastes the salt and tar of a new era. Sails snap, ropes groan. Crates of maize and cacao are loaded beside chained human bodies bound for the West. The Columbian Exchange would remake diets, horizons, and Tower itself, as the profits from Atlantic slavery built new empires and scarred continents. Entire ecosystems shifted. Horses and wheat arrived in the Americas, while new diseases reshaped life on a scale never seen before. As printed maps circulated, so did doubt. In laboratories and coffee houses, a new kind of rebellion was brewing. Curiosity hardened into method. The Scientific Revolution and the Enlightenment put kings and dogma to the test. But what kind of freedom could flourish in a world fueled by chains? The language of rights bloomed in restless capitals, even as factories began to burn coal and the engine of capitalism roared to life. In response came unions and nationalism, while empires old and new redrew the maps of the world. The 20th century arrived with global wars, unspeakable genocides, and sweeping revolutions. Old empires collapsed. A Cold War carved rigid boundaries across the globe, even as rockets and microchips began to shrink distance. Today, that legacy surrounds us. Digital networks connect markets and communities of faith. Debates over genome editing and artificial intelligence echo older arguments about authority and risk. And the shared crises of pandemics, inequality, and climate change demand a global memory, not a tribal amnesia. For our story is not over. It is a single, continuous narrative, still being written, one footprint at a time.